The human pain is unavoidable. And there is no status when it comes to injury. And one man's burden is his own. And lonely we all are. And somehow we manage to fend off the loneliness with hours of companionship. Chitter-chatter, talk. Something recreational to move our normal state of habitual awareness, our everyday way of looking at life, to move that central observation point, to move the radar with some recreational drugs or stimulation or alcohol or food or television, even just to talk. All kind of drugs, and all kind of junkies, yearning for different habits to be fulfilled, to give us some sense of belonging. But somehow the perceptions trick us. The habitual awareness becomes a dogma, becomes a belief system that we take as read. Wisdom fades, and so does the playfulness of life. And it's quite simple, but from one side to the other, to see beyond is always a trick, an illusion. Always seems a mirror, because the threshold to the beyond cannot be easy. But it's not science fiction, it's not fantasy, it's real. There is another side. There's an infinite amount of sides, and none of them are easy. And at the end of the day, we're alone. You're alone. I'm alone. In every one of the worlds we assemble for ourselves, in every one of the dream worlds that we, or I, for every one of the worlds that you imagine into existence, that world that keeps changing as you waking from one morning mood to another morning mood, that world that you assemble, the one that some days is so cruel and other days is so kind, that world that some days makes so much sense and other days no sense, that world that you assemble, the world that you move so that you can see the world from a different angle. Because when you change places, you change the states of mind. And so when you change your state of mind, you change in places. The mere thought pattern creates the reality we're in. Only in a subtle way. Of course, physical connections have priority. The grass on the ground remains on the ground and it remains grass. But our perception to it, our communication with it, alters. It's like a domino effect. But it's not a realm of fun. It's not a supermarket world. It's not some fun park. It's serious. We cannot just walk through a place and turn a stone over out of sheer curiosity. We shouldn't just pick a plant out of sheer boredom. Every action, everything we do has an effect on our world. And I'm not preaching here any virtues, I'm not preaching here how you should be. I'm sure we're all aware that karma has an effect. Karma may be a strange word. Cause and effect. If you do something, it can come back. And often if you throw something in the air and it lands on you, it has gravity with it. So the effect of some of the causes is much greater. And so therefore we have to take care of our actions. But somehow the nature is set up so the mistakes we make can always be turned to right. And so we choose all kinds of strange worlds, each to his own world. Some choose frequential intoxication, or maybe at weekends, just a beer. Some other people have prescription drugs which ease pain and change perceptions. Even a cup of coffee, or a chocolate bar, or a tin of cola, or sugary drink. All those chemicals all change our awareness and perception of the world. This has negative and positive effects, and we can neutralize this by seeing both negative and positive. And it's not easy to distinguish between the negative and the positive effects of one or the other substance. Sometimes when we feel intoxicated, it makes us feel sick and ill, and we feel pain. It's a kind of experience, a kind of journey. It's a kind of viewpoint that we choose in order to see something beyond the curtain, to see something beyond the wall or beyond that border. Somehow the only way to rise above the wall and take a peek over it is to jump as high and risk the injury, just to get a glimpse. Even if it's just a short glimpse, to take that memory back. But that memory is an illusion, really. And that glimpse is an illusion. Because the wall's an illusion. Because society is an illusion. Because status is an illusion. Staticness is an illusion. The state is an illusion. A state of mind is an illusion. The wall is a wall in the mind. There'll always be walls in the world. There'll always be restrictions, physical restrictions, mental restrictions, time restrictions, money restrictions, power restrictions, health restrictions. And the physical world can be like hell on earth. The thing with hell Is this just overexposed? Hell is just over brightness, overexposure. Sometimes we see something and misjudge, misperceive because of an optical, visual. And this misperception, this obsession with visual thinking, leads to misperceptions, mispresumptions. The idea that there is a pedestal, that there is a higher place, that there is a better soul and a worse soul, that there is a good path and a bad path. And for sure we all know right from wrong. And we're all here to help each other onto a path that seems to be the wiser path. But some of us, some of the time, and nobody knows who, must choose a dark path. And the path isn't so dark. Because in the darkness, we can hear. And as soon as we've adjusted to the fact that we're not using our vision, our seeing, our eyes, our optical pupils, to presume and misjudge the world, now, by no other means, we're left to listen, we're left to open our ears to the panorama of the world, above, below, in all directions. We can hear the world, we can hear everything approaching. At that point we realise that our ears were always listening, but we were focusing on an optical world. We were focusing on a static image. We were focusing on ambition, on belief. Always trying to achieve, always trying to go after something. Always wanting. And sometimes it's important to realise when to want and when to let go of wanting. And maybe also that we've got to somehow break a habit or make a new habit. A habit should be broken but not thrown away. It should be changed, moulded. Maybe slowly, maybe instantly. But as a habit changes, we change our focus of perception, our viewpoint, the point in which you assemble your world. And so the moment where you change your habit, your habitual position, your favourite chair, when you move that chair, the world looks different. And at first it may shock you the way the world seems, and you may feel uncomfortable and want to go back because the new world seems too unknown, unpredictable. And that new world may begin to interact with your energy. And if you're overwhelmed by that new viewpoint, that energy will be taken from you. If now you can use that new perception that you've assembled through your new state of awareness, your new habitual awareness, if you can handle that overwhelming feeling of being alone and of being in a mysterious, unknown place for a while, you can observe that. Then a kind of normality returns, and then true seeing begins. You can begin to see the contents of your perceptions uninhibited.